Hi, everybody. I'm Shamash, known as author of Mindfulness for Dummies. I want to share some tips for mindful teachers, being a mindful teacher myself, but it's particularly during a pandemic. And just going to share a few challenges that I came across and navigating through them, and it may be helpful for some of you. So I think the first big challenge that I experienced as the pandemic took place was a huge change in my routines and the kind of activities that I do. I had all sorts of different travel plans and people to meet and classes to teach, and all that in-person stuff stopped. And it created kind of a space where I needed to try and put something else in there. And I was also trying to work out what would be the best way to serve and how to support our own mindful teachers. And all sorts of things were going around my head, and I was kind of going around and around far too much and in an unhelpful way. And it took a while for me to get this insight, but I realized the importance of, first of all, routines. And I had my own little meditation routine, but the first two tips that I want to share with you is routines matter and connecting with others matter. And I managed to combine this together by doing a 30-day challenge initially, but just that opportunity to have the same time every day to connect with a similar or the same group of people every day helped to fulfill two things. First of all, the importance of something that was kind of steady and a routine happening at the same time every day. And I knew I had to be there, and the others knew they had to be there too. So that was really helpful. And then the fact that that actually gave an opportunity for connecting with others was important too. But that's not the only time to connect with people as well. So I just want to re-emphasize the importance of that. When the pandemic hit, it became much harder to connect with people. Yes, we do have video calls and stuff like that. And a lot of people talked about the Zoom fatigue after a while, didn't they? Because it's nice to connect with people on video, but it's not the same as being in person with someone. I don't know, there is a certain anxiety or stress there. I don't know, maybe there's a sense of performance that we have to do when we're on video, but it definitely feels there is some difference there. And so finding ways to connect with others is important too. Now, different countries, I know people from all over the world are watching this, and there's different countries at different stages. But I think it's important to, and this is something that we all need to learn as well, is ways to manage risk. And if you know how to look at the statistics or the data, or you look at what your local government are saying and you believe it's reliable, then you may be able to balance that risk, and maybe it is possible for you to meet with people keeping a certain distance. I mean, if you have to wear masks or not, you need to work out what's right for you. But there's also a risk in not meeting people at all as well, isn't there? So you need to think about what's the situation in your country, and not just your country, but your city, the area that you're in. And if there's very, very, very few cases, and the risk is very, very low to catch the virus in that particular situation, then it may be worth taking that risk and connecting with people in a safe way, following all the rules. So that's an important thing to kind of emphasize too. So routines, first of all, really matter. Secondly, connections matter, both online, by text and WhatsApp and video calls, and also potentially in person too, managing the risk. And then the third one I wanted to share is a bit more of a philosophical and mindful one, which is the letting go of control really matters. And I suppose it's our opportunity as mindful teachers and trainers and practitioners, if that's your position, to try and practice that as best you can yourself, and also share it with others. The idea that everything ultimately is uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen in the next moment or tomorrow. And what's happened recently is a sign of that. And although on one level control is helpful, like for example having routines in your day and doing the same thing every day, trying to control things too much is the source of a huge amount of stress, especially when you're trying to control something which is uncontrollable. like whether or not the world is going to experience a pandemic. So this idea of learning to let go of control, the fact that things are impermanent, anything can happen at any moment, these are things that have been taught in ancient times for thousands of years. And this is something that's emphasized in mindfulness classes and courses, that, there's an impermanence to everything. That wonderful quote, "This too will pass." Or there's another classic story, "We shall see." So even when something really horrible or challenging happens, we'll see what happens. Let's see what happens next. We don't know. So these kinds of things are some of the key kind of elements that I wanted to share with you today. So I've got the three things up here on the screen, and I'd love to, please feel free to write comments right now. I'm able to see them, hopefully, and respond to them. I'd love to make this into a bit of a conversation too. So first of all, routines matter. I'd love to hear, if any of you are listening, what routines that you've managed to stick to and practice regularly that may have helped you to have that sense of stability. So much changing in the world. If we can just find one routine that we do at the same time, same place every day, can be really, really helpful. How have you managed to connect with others? What are you doing to connecting? Are you just not feeling like connecting with anyone at the moment? Are you connecting with people too much? And maybe you need to take it easy a bit with the connections. And this idea of letting go of control, how are you managing that? How are you practicing that? I'd love to hear. Let's see if there's any comments. Louisa says, "Love the balance here, Shamash." Let me just click this so you can see the comment here. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, I think there's a balance certainly to be struck between the two. And with all of these, there's a balance to be struck, even with routines. Like, some routines good, but if you get obsessed too much with the routines, or you try to put too many routines in your day, then you're probably trying to control things too much as well. Certainly a balance to be struck there. And even with connecting, this Zoom fatigue probably happened to people because every time there was an opportunity for a Zoom call, they joined it, or any other kind of video call. And after a while, that probably became too much. And I know that I gave a miss to quite a few opportunities for connection in the calls because I needed a break. So that's an important one too. Simone says, "I think a sense of stability for people and self-care are really important at the moment." I really agree with that. This sense of stability. Routine, I think, is one way of cultivating that sense of stability. I can't think of what else is an easy way of cultivating that. So that's the main one that comes to mind for me. And then self-care is a really huge one. And I think maybe that's a good thing for us to share more about. And again, love to hear your ideas on your small actions that you do to practice self-care. Because if we can't look after other people, if we're not looking after ourselves, and if we're not looking after ourselves, then other people will end up having to look after us on top of that. So any forms of self-care or tips for self-care is really great. I guess some of the things that I shared are little mini examples of self-care. Bron's saying morning meditation. Oh, these are examples of self-care. Brilliant. So morning meditation, which is what I shared. Afternoon connections with a community walk. That's a great idea. If you're able to do that in your area, if you're safe enough to do that, that's great. I know there's a community walk being organised by our local park in North London. And then they say, people have to wear masks and stuff, but they are doing it. They are organising it. So I think that's a good thing. Chatting with neighbours. Yep. Been doing that. Running short mindful sessions for a few people in the local area in their garden, because you're in a hard lockdown at the moment. That's a good idea. In fact, meditating together is probably one of the safer things that you could do, right? Because you're not talking or laughing or anything. So even less virus is likely to spread there in that situation, especially if you're keeping safe distance apart. So yeah, I think we need to start thinking about how we can apply our creativity and think about the risk and manage it in a safe way. And take action based on that. So some nice examples. Thanks, Bron, from Australia, sharing some really cool stuff there. And love to see and hear more. You can leave them in the comments after this as well. And also let me know, I've got a little bit of space in some of the live streams for the rest of this month. So what specific tips that you would like. But I think the self-care one's a real good one, and maybe I could come up with some others to share in the future lives. But thanks a lot for joining in now, and thanks for your comments. And look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, roughly the same time. Okay, bye for now.